And we are live.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carla Shawn, and this is take two.
Take two.
Take two, indeed. So the first Blab, I somehow got kicked off, and I was the host, and so it ended. So we had to create a new Blab instantly, and hopefully everybody that signed up will get the memo and come on over here.
Yeah, I hope so. I made some posts about it, and let's tell the little bird.
Absolutely.
If you guys can, go over there to your left-hand side, tell the little bird, because we're really going to be jumping in and talking about how to use online social media for networking. Just in between that time from the Blab, from one Blab to the other, Blab hopping. I actually was talking to Darren Hardy and Michael Port and some other people just very briefly within Facebook, just to give you an idea. You know, I live in Seattle, West Seattle. I don't have like a published book. I've been working online for 10 months, come from the nonprofit world. And so it's very exciting times that we're living in now. Absolutely.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. First, let me just say hi, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I don't want to mess up on people's last names, so I'm just going to say your first name. Hi, Debbie, Manny Wolf, Brian, Sheena. Nice to see all of you. It's awesome to see. I hope I said your name right, Sheena. I'm sorry. I know we've talked before. But anyways, who am I? You know, my name's Luis Congdon. As I was saying before, I come from the nonprofit world. I did that for 10 years. So now, since in January 2015, I went into the online entrepreneurial world. I was managing a homeless shelter. I was a director of 3 different job sites, 30 staff, managing over $1 million budget. I was exhausted.
Wow.
It's just really exhausting to work the kind of schedule I was working. We're talking about 60, 80 hours a week. It was insane. And my girlfriend convinced me to leave the job, launch my podcast that I'd been working on for the past 2 years. I'd been sleeping on my friend's couch, actually, when a job ended, and I started a podcast and tried to figure out how to do an online business. It was really cool. First person I ever interviewed for my podcast was Dr. Paul J. Zak, then Dr. Harville Hendrix. Harville Hendrix, by the way, has been on Oprah 19 times. It's kind of like the biggest name in the relationship world.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit about me, about who I am. Now I teach people how to podcast, how to create an online business, how to make money podcasting. I have a Facebook group of over 500 people in there now, 12,000 Twitter followers. I'm just having a really good time now with this whole online world thing.
That's awesome. So were you in relationship coaching first? Like that's sort of what I see, your pages and stuff. Do you still do relationship coaching, or are you just focused on podcasts now?
Yeah, I still do the relationship stuff. It's become more of a passion than a business, which is really phenomenal for me because then I don't have to worry about clients. I don't have to come at it from a business perspective. It's really hard to listen to people's very intimate lives and then somehow put on a hat and say that'll be this amount of money. That was always kind of awkward for me, especially when in the nonprofit field, my whole job was to provide a service that was free and convince people that free was enough to get them to, come and sleep in the homeless shelter and do everything I could. And then coming into a business world where you have to convince people that, what you have will help them and that it does cost money. So it's 2 very different worlds, and they're almost in conflict with each other. At least the way that, I've been made up most of my life. Money and service were not 2 things that came together. It was service and someone else pays me for the service. So I meet you and we get to talk about you, and we never talk about money and we never talk about exchange. It is literally 110% me driving the whole thing. So do I still do relationship stuff? Yes. Just now podcasting and networking with really high level people is way more profitable. So there's a bigger focus there because, at the end of the day, like there has to be a balance between work and getting paid. And I definitely slacked off on the getting paid part.
And, so my background, I was a holistic wellness coach, massage therapist. I'm very intuitive, borderline clairvoyant. I don't like to throw around labels too much, but it gives you an idea. And a lot of the people in that field, it's what we struggle with as healers and coaches is asking people for money.
Mm-hmm.
After, we're working in the spiritual aspect, or like you said, like hearing like their pains, their suffering, and then like pay me now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can totally relate with what you're saying. So let's get into it. We're 20 minutes into the hour already. And, you mentioned that you right off the bat started interviewing on your podcast, really speaking with some amazing people. So how did you do that? What are some of your tips and tricks?
It's so cool because nowadays, Don Miguel Ruiz, maybe you guys have heard of him. Don Miguel Ruiz, Marianne Williamson, Dr. Brad Blanton. These are some names that are well known in kind of the self-help spirituality world. They're easier to get a hold of than ever, and you don't need to be quote unquote somebody now to reach out to them. You don't have to be Oprah and have a direct line to these people. They have websites, they have Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, YouTube channels. And really the first place that you can go to is go to their website and send them a personal email. One of my really good friends one time told me he was going through this like spiritual crisis. So he wrote Deepak Chopra, and less than 24 hours later, Deepak actually responded with over a page worth of content, kind of telling him about what was going on for him and how to deal with some of the spiritual crisis that was happening. The way that I really suggest to people is just if there's somebody that you admire and you really like what they're up to, go into Facebook and favorite them. Make them one of the key people that shows up on your phone, and inside Facebook, they're one of the first people that show up in your stream, and comment and like their stuff. They will respond, they will reply, and give value stuff. Be valuable. Don't just, oh, this is great, or respond. Have a genuine conversation with them. What starts to happen is you actually build a relationship with people. I've heard crazy stories of people commenting and liking and responding and telling a story within someone else's feed. And next thing you know, this celebrity says, hey, you know what? I want to fly you out to one of our events, or I'm going to be in your area. Let's meet up. It's really that possible now.
Yeah. Didn't something like that happen to you?
Yeah. So I reached out to Dr. Harville Hendrix, and I just want to say a funny little thing about this is I had this idea of creating a podcast. I didn't know what it was, but it sounded awesome, and it sounded like a great way for me to meet very well-known people. So I said I have a podcast before I actually really had one, and I reached out to Dr. Harville Hendrix. He responded, said, great, I'll come on your show. I had no website, no social media. I didn't have a podcast yet. So I had to Google, how the heck do you record a phone call? Which I found a little, $20 thing that attaches to Skype called Ecamm. So you can get that if you want. Ecamm, it's just $20. And I recorded our call. And at the end of that call with Dr. Harville Hendrix, he said, Luis, I just really like you, and we'd love it if you came to our event in a couple months out in New York, and we will pay for the whole thing for you. So my girlfriend and I flew out, got to participate in a 3-day private event with Dr. Harville and his wife. At the end of it, we had a meet and greet, took some pictures with him. And then he invited me actually to come down to Texas and do some kind of nonprofit work and help facilitate this course that he's doing. Now, I don't have a PhD, guys, and I don't have a master's degree. So it's quite an honor to be invited by somebody of that stature to be able to participate in their work.
Absolutely. And what do you, I would say the key, one of the keys anyway, is that you're really authentic.
Definitely. I think that, a lot of times we kind of get carried away with this idea that someone's a celebrity. Yeah. And we kind of dehumanize them when we do that, because celebrity or no celebrity, people are people. We function as humans. We're human beings. We all respond in a very similar fashion to everything.
Absolutely. So someone asked the question, how long did you have to invest in that relationship?
So as in regards to Dr. Harville Hendrix? Because if we're talking about Dr. Harville Hendrix, you know, it's funny because he actually responded to me very quickly. It took me a matter of a few months to get a hold of him. Once his team responded to me, it took a while to nail down a date. They said, oh yeah, we're available for this date. Then they changed the dates. And here's a little reminder is that if you're trying to get a hold of someone that's very well known, one is I don't take no for an answer. No just means maybe not right now in my mind. And two, don't be afraid to follow up. So with Dr. Harville Hendrix, it was surprisingly quicker than I thought. The first time we did the interview, actually, the recording didn't go so well, like the sound. So we had a great interview, but I had to reschedule and we redid the interview. But I still had that scholarship. My biggest thing for people is that if you're trying to get a hold of someone that's busy, you have to be willing to be a little bit relentless. You know, put it on a calendar, follow up.
Absolutely. Following up is key. So following up, being authentic. How else would you say to use social media? I know Twitter, you have a huge Twitter following. And I know people respond and reply and retweet, and that's like a number one way to grow your following and to engage, right, is to retweet other people's and really comment, you know, if it really touches you. What else would you have to say, you know, using Twitter platform specifically?
You know what I've found. So I'm not a big Twitter guy. I do have a good following there, but I'm not big on Twitter. I mainly use some automated systems to help me tweet and follow people. So it's not my biggest area of expertise, but Twitter is also incredible because what happens is that if you reach out via email and you don't get a response, then you can go into Facebook. And if you don't get a response on Facebook, you can guarantee that most likely the owner of that Facebook page is either someone on their team, or it's actually, you know, the person, but they don't actually check anything. They just post and that's it. And they maybe use something like Hootsuite or Buffer, some automated system. So with Twitter, it's been really wonderful because, you know, Dr. John Gray, for example, I wanted to get him on the show. And this is the fastest turnaround time I've ever experienced as far as meeting somebody. I wrote him on Twitter. I just posted on his Twitter, hey, Dr. John Gray, love your work. Let's get you on my podcast. He responded something like a couple hours later with an email address for his assistant. I wrote her, and 24 hours later, I was on a phone call with him. It was pretty insane. I've never had that turnaround before.
Yeah, I'm just now getting into Twitter. Actually, I signed up even before it went public. I was at a like a big business event, and I had like Carla, like just my first name. I think I was like number 77. And then I thought it was ridiculous. Like my girlfriend came home and she's like, people are following me at the car wash. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous. And I like unsubscribed, you know, it's whatever, 12 years later, I think it's brilliant. So I'm just now getting into it. In the short amount of time that I've been here, it's faster than email that I found. It's faster than Facebook, you know, separate than texting someone with their number. It seems to be, as long as they are on Twitter, right? Not everyone is to follow, but it seems like a brilliant platform, especially now that Blab and Periscope both are running off of Twitter. It's like, I think Twitter just totally raised their user value.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've heard a lot of stories of people doing some really incredible stuff using Periscope. I've been hearing a lot of people get some incredible followings through Blab. So it's a huge market, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I'm on here today. This is actually my very first kind of feature Blab. Thank you, Carla, for helping put this on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry we had technical issues at the beginning, but, you know, we'll persevere.
So, you know, we had a question and I wanted to respond to it, Carla, because we've been asked, you know, how do you get rid of that annoying feeling that you might have when you're following up? One is if a person doesn't respond to your email, doesn't respond to your Twitter, doesn't respond to any kind of messages that you're sending out, the assumption is they're really busy. They didn't look at it. They've got hundreds of emails in their inbox, or maybe they saw my name. then they're reading the email, their phone rings, they have to shut their computer, and they're off. And so what happens is people, we live in a high level distraction world. And so our work to reach and touch other people just takes a little bit more touches and more following up. And, if you have something valuable to offer and it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, it's not going to be annoying. I mean, it wasn't annoying. Dr. Harville Hendricks had such a great time with me that he had me come out to New York, paid for the whole thing, and then invited me to come down to Texas. So I had something so wonderful to offer that he wanted me closer in his community.
Yeah, and I also just want to say, for those who are in the business world, this is just second nature. In fact, I know people like CEOs, the C-suites and so on, they actually get annoyed if someone stops communicating. Like if they ask just once or twice and they don't hear from them, they're like, well, they don't have the perseverance. Like I definitely don't want them part of my team or to be, within my tribe. They actually like, as long as you're not rude, as long as you're using social graces and you're persistent, people actually enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
And it's our stuff where we feel like we're being annoying, but just know that's us. Like we're projecting our own what fears and whatever else is in here on other people.
Too, another thing is, so one of the people that I'm looking to get into his circle is Tim Ferriss. I really like some of the stuff that he's doing. He's a big name, but there's somebody else too named Mike Dillard, who's someone else that I'd really like to kind of get into his world, and I want to be involved in what's going on. So he recently held a charity event where he was fundraising money for some water for people in some third world country. Like I didn't fully look into it, but if you want to kind of get into someone else's world, you just do it the way that you would with anyone else. And if someone's running a charity event, it would be a real quick way for me to get into Tim Ferriss's life if he was running some event and I donated $3,000-4,000. Now that might be a lot for some people, right? But what if you're donating 100 and he sees you doing that repeatedly? Like that is going to stand out. That's going to make a difference. And you can mention that in your interactions. You can comment, hey, we just donated $100 to the event. Fantastic thing you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So what I hear within that is if there's someone like a high level player that you do want to contact, is to do some research on them. Mm-hmm. And find out what they're doing and where it crosses your passions and desires too, right? You don't want to be inauthentic and approach them with something that doesn't resonate with you, right? So find out what they're doing, see if you could join them, go to their event or donate, or even, promote their Facebook ad or Facebook posting or tweet or something like that, right?
That's right. That's really true. One of the biggest reasons why I thought having this Blab was a really cool idea is that I work with a lot of people in the online business, and a lot of them are watching me. A lot of people are starting to watch me and what I'm doing. And in a period of 10 months, I've gone really just a completely different place than most people will ever get to in a period of 10 months. Today we were approached by the largest nutrition school in the United States. Over 40,000 graduates of their school. They were one of the biggest affiliates for Marie Forleo. We were approached by them. And how is it that we're doing that? Well, really because we're not afraid to follow people inside of social media circles and act as if we deserve to belong in their world. Vice versa. It's a gift that they get to be in ours.
Exactly. What did they approach you for?
Some business related stuff. So we're working out some courses, and we're probably going to take our podcasting and online training program and do some kind of venture with them so that their students can learn how to create a program. Because one thing that's missing from a lot of schools, so say someone goes to the Art Institute, what they're going to learn is they're going to learn how to do art. But when you graduate, you've got to learn how to start a business.
That's right.
you know, or apply somewhere. But those are highly competitive fields, and fields where people don't seem to be able to get jobs very easily without experience. But if you just graduated, how do you get experience?
Absolutely. I lived in Santa Cruz for about 6 years, and there's a great acupuncture school there. And same thing. Hold on.
There goes the dogs. Who here has dogs? I get excited when dogs come up. I have a dog. He's my best buddy. You guys do? What kind of dogs do you guys have? I have a miniature schnauzer. I wish he was here because I'd put his face to the camera and he looks like a little old man.
Oh, that's awesome. These are my mom's dog, and there was a squirrel out by the pool, so they had to go chase the squirrel.
Studio IDS, let's get you on the call. I know you have a lot of insight about social media as well. You know, Manny, if you're still on the call, you've been networking with some high profile people. I know that about you. Nice. Manny.
Hey guys.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, thanks Carla. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Nice to see you.
Hey, yeah, you too. It was I played hell trying to figure out how to get Blab and get on it, and then so finally I just did it on my phone, and here I am.
Great. Yeah, we were having technical issues today as well.
Okay, so it's not just me. I have this idea. I don't want to hijack our discussion here, but I have this theory that technology hates me specially. but I'm kind of learning that's not true. Luis, how are you, bro?
I'm doing excellent. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Really good.
Yeah, it's awesome that you're using your phone too, because the phone is even more glitchy. So maybe you have better luck with technology than I do, Manny.
That's crazy. I can't even wrap my head around that idea.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, you know, in terms of my own networking with anyone, it's just create the value, add the value. And I've actually said this to Louise in a more of a one-on-one context, but I actually have this sort of thing that I'm testing out where my MO is, what if I just add value? You know, to take the Gary Vaynerchuk analogy, what if I just jab, jab, jab?
Yes.
Will the universe or life or the online community then give the right hook for me? And that's kind of what I'm sort of going on.
Hey guys.
It's so important to me. Is that Alex?
Yeah, sir.
Hey man, how are you?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good, good. It's really important to me that I'm able at this point in my life to actually help other people and provide value. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's funny because some of us are totally legit about it and others of us are just marketers. And and with some people, it's like authenticity is the new bullshit. You know?
It really is, yeah.
But then with some of us, authenticity is like, it's proof of a transformation I've made, that I can do it.
That's
that
right.
I can show up and be of service.
Could you, for those of us who aren't familiar with who you are, just give us, you know, the 30-second who you are and how we could find out more about you?
Whew, 30 seconds.
The elevator speech. Put him on the
spot. All right. So I moved into this space after writing a book about my life. And my life has been pretty crazy. I know Luis knows a bit about it. The rest of you don't. I don't have time in 30 seconds. Let's just say that I survived more than, you know, the only reason I'm here has to be so that I can give something to other people. It's the only thing that makes sense. So I'll just put it like that. My podcast and my book are both called The Steep Side of the Mountain, Lessons from an Unmentored Life, which is exactly what I had. I never had any help. And in fact, virtually everyone in my life up until my current fiance had been detractors. I mean, I had lived my whole life in that metaphorical crab barrel where every time I tried to lift myself, it was like The Godfather, you know, they keep sucking me back in.
Yeah.
And so writing my memoirs was the final piece that created a global shift for me.
Huge.
And so then the idea of the podcast was to share that shift through interviews with other people. I want to get the message out there that that a global transformation is possible in your life, not a transformation of degrees or percentages. If you're willing to do what it takes and to go down into the deep dark valleys of yourself,
Yeah.
any transformation is possible. So that's kind of my platform. Then when people started hearing my podcast, they started calling me up and messaging me saying, "How do you sound like that?" I realize this could be construed as a little bit cocky, but this is what people asked me. They said, "Can you teach us how to come across like that?" And so I took my overall concept and took a thin slice off the top. And so now what I'm doing a lot of is teaching voice, charisma, and presence just in the spoken area. So just if you work with a podcast or a YouTube video kind of a thing, anyone who uses their voice professionally, I promise you, I've got some amazing tricks, tips, and strategies for you that can transform the way people perceive you.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Sorry, that was more like a minute.
That's okay. As long as it wasn't 5, we're good.
Yeah. Could have gone 5 easily.
Yeah.
Like
ID Studios. Who are you? And 30-second-ish little blurb about you.
Well, my name is Lex, and I own Studio IDS or ID Studios, and we create podcasts. I mean, we have a professional podcast studio that we do editing, and we create websites and all that good jazz. And our business is built around attraction rather than promotion, and we're all about teaching and we're all about just helping other people. I mean, we're always networking with other podcasters, and we're always networking with we've got 5 shows in the network now, and we work with other podcasters to help them with create better sound and create because I'm the sound Nazi. I'm the tech guy. I'm the techie. So I'm the one that if you can't figure things out, you call me. So but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm the tech. I'm I'm the one that's always fixing and creating stuff. So.
And how have you used social media to get into the high level players, and so you are attracted versus chasing? Well,
I always try to refrain from name dropping, but we're with our networking. Like, we're actually next week we're going to be dealing with the Tucson mayor, for the mayoral race for one of our shows. We've talked to professional basketball teams, and so the way we use social media to network is we try to approach all these people with just natural everyday. Like, I've spent most of my career dealing with high-end guests, sponsors, and things like that. I mean, I used to have the number, the number for the vice president of Coca-Cola in my number, because when I was managing a stunt team, I used to get sponsors for them. But a lot of it is talking to these people normally. That you got to remember that I've dealt with a lot of stars, I've dealt with a lot of superstars and things like that. And when you're dealing with those people, you just have to remember they put on their pants the same way you do, one leg at a time, And so when you're reaching out to these people, what I tend to do is I tend to reach out to them like normal people. Hey, how's it going? And at the same time, it's just like, I'm not trying to do it in a self-serving trying of way, because I always try to give back, So it's just like, if I'm going to talk to the mayor, I'm going to tell him, hey man, you're going to get a ton of exposure on our show. Like you're going to, but when we're talking to him like he's an everyday Joe Schmo. I'm not like all starstruck or things like that, because it's really easy. I mean, right now, I would freak out if I was able to talk to Pat Flynn. Right, but I would not freak out if I talked to Oprah. It's not like the people that I hold as a starstruck type of thing is different nowadays than it used to be when I used to, like look at these superstars and go, oh my God, I can't believe these people. But when you realize they're normal people, they'll treat you like normal people, and they're really willing to talk to you a lot more when you treat them like normal people. So that's what we tend to do when we talk to a lot of high level guests.
And so how specifically have you used social media to do that?
Usually I research the person, like Louise said. I research people and I get to know them first without meeting them. Like I will, like I almost be like a Facebook stalker, or social media stalker. I'll find out everything that they're doing and try to get in with what they're doing, and try to be that higher name that's really like just pushing them. Hey guys, we really love what you're doing, and just trying to helping them out, getting their stuff out, and say, hey guys, we really love you guys. Can we can we do that? We pretty much become Facebook stalkers.
Great.
I know for me, I just reach out. I think if I was to think it through at all, I would have to say my attitude is, if I reach out authentically, I'm always going to try to find or say something that is kind of about you. Carla, I want you on my show, right? And I don't know you at all, but I like what you do. It's going to be a very genuine thing, and it's going to be very simple. It's just going to be like, hey, Carla, my name's Manny. I've been following you for a while. I like what you're about. I've got this podcast. Here's the theme.
Yeah.
I'd love to connect.
Yeah.
I guess if somebody was to, I had somebody who we all probably know, who's sort of a big name in our space, who didn't respond to 2 messages like that were totally sincere and totally just like, I love what you're doing. You're way farther along a path that I'm traveling. I would love to talk with you and put you on my show. He didn't respond twice. It's like, okay, done. That's cool, because I know the guy's very busy. And if I was to say his name, you'd go, yeah, of course, he's super busy. But then there was another guy who I actually got on my show, and so I guess it's kind of not too cheesy to say it was Jordan Harbinger. And I was a little nervous to reach out to him, actually, only because he can be so like just cut and dry. He can be so direct. But at the same time, it was his podcast that first brought me into this whole space. And the value that he was just providing to people had a huge part in setting my course.
That's good.
So I just told him that. It wasn't in any kind of oh, you're so great way. It's like, hey man, the work that you've been doing for 10 years almost, totally just want you to know it connected with me, and I'm a person who got what you want to deliver out of what you're doing. Now I have a podcast. If possible, I'd love to talk to you.
That's awesome.
And then it's like it kind of moved naturally from there too. I got into his Facebook feed and started chatting, because he puts up all these things that are meant to
Facebook stalking.
Yeah, they're just meant to create like fun engagement, And so I fell on my face a bunch of times and was goofy and silly like everybody else. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, so have you given any thought to whether or not I could have you on my show? And he's like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll get back to you. One thing led to another, and had him on the show.
That's awesome.
So here's
I'm planning to release that show today.
Let me ask you, all 3 of you, this question. So, social media is all about social graces, right? just like in networking in person, or if you meet one of your people that you idol at an event, we're taught, when you approach them, do you have time for a quick question or kind of 30 seconds of your time? Like we give them a specific amount of time so they know what they're getting into. And they also know that we respect them. Mm-hmm. How do you follow those same sort of graces with social media?
So for me, if anything, I make it very easy for them to provide short answers that have meaning.
Tell me more.
I'm not looking to get Tim Ferriss to write me 4 paragraphs. Because honestly, I don't have high hopes.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like that. But more than anything, I go back to what I was saying to you earlier about how, for me, this whole sort of foray into this space, I really want to see how much I can just keep it authentic. And I never thought I'd get to the point where I was hating that word because it's so overused. So I'm going old school and kind of just say, like, I want to keep it 100. I want to keep it real.
We have a show that they use that all the time. Keeping it 100, man. I'm keeping it 100.
Even that's getting overused. But really, it's like, one way or another, you're going to figure out, because of my personality, who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're getting sort of short on time. We have maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
So my point was only this, that I just tried to put that out there in the very beginning, and if you respond to it, great. That was my point, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
The way I actually reach out to somebody for the first time is after I do all the research on them, I will, I'll send them a message, like either an IM or something like that, and say, hey, I really love your stuff. I kind of explain to them what I am, who I am. And once I do that, I say, hey, if you ever have a second to talk, just let us know, or let me know. I'd like to talk to you about possibly being on our show. And so, that usually works out really well for us, because it's a very soft, like, intro. You're not going, hey, by the way, can you be on my show, please? You're so awesome.
Right.
So it's just like opening that conversation in a, like, with those social graces. Like, you wouldn't go to somebody in the street and go, dude, you're so awesome. Can you just join my show? No, you'd want to get to know them. And so that's the way I do it.
Yeah. And so both of you, well, actually, all 3 of you, your goal is to get people on your show. Like, that's like when you're reaching out. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, what your main objective is who can you pull on your podcast?
Well, it's not only that. It's like, it's what's going to be the best for my listeners. Who's got a great story. Like, I can bring in a bunch of pros who will be boring as hell and give me everything that, like, technical wise, but they're not going to really reach out to my audience. They're not really going to connect with my audience. And so when I'm looking for a guest, I'm looking for a guest who has a great social media presence, who has a great story, and something to really give to somebody, and has a great personality, because I don't want to be talking to a robot,
Yeah. What about?
Well, so for me,
Lewis.
Yeah, can you remind me the question one more time?
Yeah. So, what sort of social graces you use when you're approaching someone, similar to, they have 30 seconds of your time, or something where they have an idea of how long you expect of them, or that you would like from them.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm getting approached a lot on a weekly basis. I'm probably doing 2 to 5 podcast interviews. If I log into LinkedIn, I have an average of 5 to 10 messages now. And then Facebook is crazy, because that's where I do a lot of my business.
Yeah.
And I'm really just saying this because I can now start to relate with people who get a lot of messages in their inbox and they're having to filter and find ways to shortcut conversations.
Yes.
You know, like I was hesitant to use Blab because I felt, is this going to be a useful way to use my time?
Yeah.
You know, and time is kind of the most valuable thing that we all have, but a lot of people just spend it like it's an infinite kind of thing. And so I think the best thing we can do is exactly what Alexis was talking about, is really researching who you're going to talk to and know why, and then make it really short, the amount of time that you're asking. Honestly, I generally approach people with a 5-minute ask because most people are willing to give 5 or 10 minutes to you. Or I approach with, hey, I noticed this about your website. There's a few tweaks. I would love to share with you what they are. Here's one of them, but the other one we can, you know, maybe I can jump on a call with you and share that with you. If you can come from a place of you've done your research and you have something to provide the other person, because most people, it's just human psychology is what's in it for me.
Okay.
You know, people, we're selfish people. We want to know what's in it for me. You know, today I had somebody reach out to me via email and said, hey, can we hop on a 30-minute phone call? I'd love to see how we can network. I am starting to get to a place where I don't really want to network with as many people anymore. I've networked with really incredible people. I know all 3 of you. But, you know, at one point I was having 20, 30 conversations a week with brand new people. So now I'm starting to have to put those down. And so I responded to him and I said, what is the conversation about? How long is it going to take? And why is it that you want to talk with me? The response was, oh, I thought we could network and we could help each other. I help people build funnels and maybe we could help each other. There was nothing there about, hey, I went to your website, I checked out your funnel.
Right.
There was nothing. It sounds like to me like he wants my business and is hoping that I'll promote his business. And that's not fun for me. That's not an interesting phone call for me.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. Great. Well, guys, we're gonna call it. We're gonna be wrapping it up here. Do you have any questions or anything that you we could just go around like the last 20 seconds or something? Any questions to ask or any tidbits to give?
You know, I want to say something too, is that if you're on the call, you know, my hope was to really teach people some tips. And, you know, with Manny and Alexis hopping on the call, it's been incredible because we got some really rounded off answers. You know, I have a Facebook group of over 500 people now. So, you know, networking is something that I feel like I really specialize in. So I encourage everyone on this call, follow me on Twitter, message me on Facebook if that's the place that you like to be at. If you're a podcaster, message me. We'll get you inside a group so you can network with podcasters. The biggest thing I can say about networking is figure out where your niche is, where your interest is, and try to stay within that. Because with social media now, it's like that guy emailing me this morning. Why? I mean, I could go on all sorts of trails. You know, earlier, Carla, when we had that Blab problem on the left side of the little column over here on the left hand, there was like other Blabs that may interest you. I clicked on one, and these people were talking about getting their hair done, and I don't know what was going on, but I was like, I can't believe there's 50 people watching this. You know, but I have stuff I need to go do. But that's the biggest thing is like, if you want to use Periscope, why are you going to be using it? Is it going to be interesting? You know, I've had tips from people. If you want to gather a Periscope following, watch other Periscopes, follow other Periscopes, comment on other Periscopes. For me, it's really hard for me to build in the time to do that, right? Because it's just my focus is over here, and then I start diluting myself if I go too much over here. So, you know, even within Facebook, there's a very few people, even though there's about 100 celebrities that I would love to chat with and get to know because they strike my heart. You know, they're doing incredible things. I've chosen 2 or 3 for this month that I'm going to follow and kind of get to know them and kind of work my way into their world, see if there's something of interest there. If there isn't, that's okay too. but I'm not going to follow 100 people and then like and comment and follow them and then go watch their blabs and watch their periscopes. I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to cultivate and harvest something that's worthwhile. And that's what I really encourage people is use social media, not in the fast-paced way that we think social media works, but use it in the way that nature works. We have rhythms, we have seasons, and follow those. So where is it that you want to focus? What is it that you're up to? And go and invest just a little bit of time with that.
Yeah, totally. I want to say bye to Manny and Alex. Just Manny, a quick thing, and I'm gonna get out.
Manny's so awesome.
Very quick, yeah, definitely. I just wanted to back up what Luis just said. In my own words, it's like getting on the social media space can be like not having one shiny distraction, but having a million of them. Mm-hmm. And I know that. For me, I got to stick to what I'm trying to do, and I have to sort of be really disciplined about remembering that. I kind of do what he was just saying. It's like I might join one new group, and I might sit there and not even get involved for 2 weeks, and then finally I get a little bit of focus and break time. Like, okay, now I'm going in.
Great.
Kind of
Thank
thing.
you. Sorry, it's 4:00. I have a 4:10 call, so I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And is it Lex or Alex or Alexis?
Lex or Alexis.
Okay.
So,
great.
Real quick, I'll wrap it up real fast. It's use social media with a purpose. I mean, that's the only thing. When you're going after new people, when you're when you're promoting your show, when you're doing anything, use it with a purpose, because it's so easy to get distracted by all the different funny memes and things like that, or things that are going on. So go at it as this is a purpose, and don't spend all day on it. You only have to do it for a couple hours a day, and that's really it. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by social media.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And thank you so much for joining the Blab and sharing who you are. And
thank you for having me.
Well, do you have a Facebook group or page? Like, how would you like us to find more about you?
Well, you can check me out at studioids.com or lovethefam.com. That is actually my main show. It's Dear Friends and Family with me and my wife.
Oh.
And we talk about chronic illness. We're both chronically ill, and so it's a great show. Again, lovethefam.com or studioids.com, so you can see some of the shows in our network.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. You guys have a good one.
Bye-bye. Awesome. So to, the last few minutes that we have, would you like just to do a recap?
Yeah, a recap, and this biggest kind of discovery that I've been really looking at with people and helping people online and helping people use online to network and grow business is how to do that. And one of the things that we talk about is providing value for other people. One of my biggest mistakes that I've made, and just recently it really dawned upon me that I need to shift that and not do it so much, is I would meet this big name, and they would be like, oh, we did this and we did that. And you get all excited, like, oh my God, I want to be in this person's life, or I want to find out what they're up to. You just get excited, right? Especially when you're trying to build a business and build something online. And one of the things that I did, and I did this chronically, is I was giving away tons of my very valuable resources. So the things that I would charge for, let me give it to you free. Oh, let me do that. And I was giving away my time, my products, and really trying to, Gretchen Rubin published this article recently and she said, when giving too much is actually needy or being needy. And that's what I was doing. And that's kind of a really big thing that I'm thinking a lot about in regards with social media and connecting high profile people. Now that they're at your level because of social media, it's really good you think of them that way.
Absolutely. I have so many extra things that we could say, but I have an appointment. So what I heard you say is, be cautious of how much you give away. Right. And so do you recommend that people, obviously, we all have funnels and,
Sorry.
Well, a lot of people have funnels. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They get on your list and so on and so forth. So, what do you I'm sure you give a lot away on podcasts, right? And your guests give a lot of things away sharing. So when you say people give too much away, is that both verbally and in terms of books and PDFs and videos, or like what do you mean by that?
I think what people do is they tend to, I mean, in regards to the online business world, yeah, there's a tricky kind of balance of learning how much of your product or your system to give away. Like they have these $1 trial things, right? And people give everything away. And a tendency that people do is they buy the $1 trial, they use it before 30 days are up, they get a refund, right? And if that was the only aspect of your business, I'm not sure how much you would be getting. Unless you have something else happening. For me personally, my problem is I was actually giving away the back end things, the things that were actually really premium, high quality value stuff, because I wanted to be known for doing that, So, for example, I talked to somebody who's, has some really great success, and I'll say, hey, I'll help you create a free podcast, and I'll basically do all the work, and maybe you can help me. So one, really unclear expectations. Two, offering to run my business like it was a nonprofit, and thinking that this person is going to be the person that lives by the golden rule. And people a lot of times, especially if they've built a name up and you're offering them free stuff, they think you want to do it simply because you want to do it. And it just doesn't work that way. And with social media, it's just really the biggest recap is organize your time, know what's really valuable to you, and guard that. That's the biggest recap for me.
Great. Yeah, I would say, in terms of connecting with a high level people is use really good social graces. Using Gary V's give, ask. Being authentic, even if people think that word is overused, to me, it doesn't lose its meaning. And also sort of what, I don't know if I agree 100% of what you're saying about the giving thing, but what I will say from a coach's aspect is content is free. You could Google anything. You could get pretty much any book, any program for free for coaches and healers. That's where the rubber meets the road, because you could learn all this stuff, but putting something into use and, getting that support, getting that hand, holding someone's hand, I think is where people pay.
That's right.
So what do you think about that? And then I literally have to go.
I'm 100% in agreement. I couldn't have said it better.
Awesome. Because of your podcast, right? How many people have, bought your program, but they just can't get it going. And then you work with them for a month and then, or
that's right.
Months. I mean, I don't know what you do, but I work with people for, 6 months or a year, because it takes, and longer. I have clients who I've been working with for 3 years. They just keep signing up because having, a coach all the time is great for us.
Yeah.
So what do you, let's do a little plug for you. So what is your product and what do you offer?
Yeah. I actually just got several Facebook followers from people on here, so it's fantastic to see you take action. Please follow me inside Twitter as well. Look up the podcastersecretweapon.com. The Podcaster's Secret Weapon is a program that my partner and I have developed, teaching people how to create, grow, and monetize a podcast, as well as land their ideal dream guests. And even some tactics to network with them and utilize an interview as a way to then transition into doing business with some of the people from your show. So that's my plug right there. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, go to the website, check it out. I'd love to hear from everybody here. I'm a people person. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching the show. Thank you for hosting, Carla.
Absolutely. It was great. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties, but it all worked out. And thank you, everybody who joined us and who commented, and all the replay viewers. Hello and thank you. And we will see you next time.
Okay. Adios, everybody.
Bye.